I'm just going to continue talking because everything on my screen says that you can hear me. All right. So, basically, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through a whole bunch of questions that I've received and sort of answer them once and for all so that I can at least refer people to this video. Okay, so you can hear me. All right, great. So, the very first thing I get all of the time, question wise, and hello, Internet, if you didn't hear that the first time, why haven't you done a tutorial on so and so? Java Enterprise, C++, electronics, Ruby, blah, 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 over and over again. The reason why is I have a plan for what I want to do. And anytime I ever deviate from that plan, everything goes bad. I have things like I forget, like the Android tutorials that I was doing, they were a lot harder than a lot of people I think know, because what I was trying to do with them was I was trying to create applications and at the same time not continue to repeat over and over again the same sort of techniques or the same different things. So each time I made one of those tutorials, I was like, okay, well, let's try not to use this stuff, and instead let's try to use something brand new. And whenever I'm doing that, and then I decide because I get a lot of requests for a different tutorial that I want to fulfill those requests, what I do is I forget what I was doing with the Android tutorials. And then I have to go back and watch them, and it just causes all kinds of havoc. And you can see a prime example of that with the C tutorial. I started covering C, and then I was like, and it just got to be a little bit crazy and out of control. So my main goal this year is to focus on Android. And that's what I want to focus on. And I want to do it right. I don't like doing tutorials in which I feel like I haven't done the job. So what's the point? I don't see any point in doing tutorials and not covering everything. That's just not what I do. I try to cover everything. I don't care about views. I don't care about anything. My main goal is if there's 100 people in the entire world that wants to know something, I'm going to do it for that 100 people or those 50 people. I don't care. I just want to always do the right tutorial. So if I haven't got to Java Enterprise yet, it's because I don't feel that I can jump into Java Enterprise without hurting my Android tutorials. I can, however, do something like C++, and I'm trying to figure out a way of getting Enterprise covered, but I want to do it right. So, that's it. I mean, that's just the reason why I haven't gotten your tutorials isn't because I'm not listening to you. It is just simply because I only have so much time and I want to do things right. What's my favorite death metal band? I'm not a big death metal fan. I like Korn though. I like, I love fast music. Atari Teenage Riot, So I just saw that pop up there and I just thought I'd answer it. So that's the basic gist of why I haven't gotten to your tutorials. I am listening to you and I will get to them, just a matter of when. Sometimes it's very quickly. Like all of a sudden I had a whole bunch of people asking me for Inkscape tutorials. And I was like, well, wait a minute. I need to design graphics for my Android applications and I need to do design interfaces. And wow, Inkscape is a great solution for that. So I decided to jump right into Inkscape immediately. And other times I'll be able to do other things. So awesome. PHP, I very well might jump back into it for web services out of the blue just because I think, okay, now's the time to do that. Might do the same thing with Java Enterprise. I just don't know. I'm trying to manage my time, so that's it. Second question: why do you make YouTube videos? I just like to help people. That's it. I have this. Whoops, sorry about that. I have this weird thing in my head, and it was put there by my great grandmother, that karma exists, which is basically if you do good, good things happen. If you do bad, bad things happen. It's like a belief, it's a core belief in my system. So, through doing this in any way that I can, and I don't think I'm an expert in anything. I mean, a lot of you guys, I'll point you towards other people that I think are better in comments. I'm not like, only watch my videos. I tell people all the time, go watch other people's videos. So, that's just the way that I am. I'm not doing this for money and such. It's like something that I enjoy doing as a hobby. Anyway, so I guess to a certain extent, I consider my website and what I do on YouTube to be sort of like a great big giant good karma machine, in which I'm doing good karma and I'm spreading good karma everywhere, and that's that. It's not really a religious sort of thing. It's just something that's like a core belief that I should do good, and for some reason, I think that I'm doing good here. So that's it. I don't really play a lot of games. I just saw something. What's the most innovative game of the year? I think a lot of you guys know there's only really one game that I play, and I don't even play it that much. Well, I play a bunch of tablet apps. The only game that I've played recently that I absolutely loved was Don't Starve. There you go. That's the core gaming thing that I'm into. I don't have a console or any of that stuff. So as I see comments pop up here on the left side of the screen, I'll answer them randomly. What is my background? A lot of you guys know I went to school for electrical engineering and I didn't really like it. I love electronics, but electrical engineering is kind of boring to me. Not to say anything bad if you love, because I love electronics. And I would love to cover electronics in these tutorials. It's just they haven't quite been able to fit. I would love to cover electronics more than anything else, but it just hasn't worked yet. I won a science fair. I got hired by Apple out of college. After Apple, I'm not really going to get into the details of everything. After Apple, I wanted to work for a company called Digital Domain, and they told me that I needed to learn how to draw. I needed to get into understanding illustration because that's what they did. And I really wanted to work for them. So I decided to go to a trade school and learn illustration and composition and all the other things that I've never done tutorials on that I think I know a good amount about. And while I was there, I met my wife, who became my wife. And then I got into marketing very heavily, and that's where all the hypnosis stuff comes from, and the negotiation stuff, and all the other random things that I cover. And then I became a stockbroker, and I did that for a while. And I was a miserable failure at the beginning. I was very good at investing, which most stockbrokers aren't, but I was pretty bad at sales. And then for some reason, I remembered, hey, wait a minute, all the marketing hypnosis stuff that I did, I could use this in the brokerage world in a nice way, if I can say that in a nice way. And I was pretty successful at that for a while, and then I just got bored. That's why I quit. I didn't like working, and I didn't like being a broker. I hated it. And then I started my own business. I ran a web development company. I ran a grocery store in a ghetto. I did a lot of random things, and then I started doing shopping carts and developing Android apps and doing things like that, and doing YouTube videos, and that's what I do now. So there's the gist overview of my background and what I do for a living now. I help run a shopping cart system. I do a lot of that stuff, and I do some YouTube stuff, and I do some Android application stuff. But I mainly do Android application stuff for individuals, not App Store stuff, because it seems like nobody does that, and so that's what I do. And I covered question 4, which is what do you do for a living? What advice would I give to someone who wants to make YouTube videos? Don't do what I do. First off, basically, what I would do is if you want to be successful, copy what everybody else does on YouTube and follow the Ze Frank sort of model. In my opinion, that is the way that you do things. I'm 39 years old. Just turned 39. I copy that. I have it on my website. I go through in detail exactly what Ze Frank does. Ze Frank's an expert, a genius. I am not. But everybody you see on YouTube is to a certain extent following the Ze Frank model. I don't. I just make videos about stuff I'm interested in covering. That's it. I enjoy every single video. I've only ever done one tutorial series that I absolutely hated doing, and every other tutorial I've ever done I absolutely loved, and I think you can sort of tell in my videos that I'm enjoying myself to a certain extent. You have to understand my voice is kind of monotone, not because I'm bored, but because I have to be monotone so I can go in and edit and it won't sound terrible. So that's why I try to keep a consistent tone while I'm talking. I know it can sometimes get boring, but I promise you I don't talk like that in the real world. It's just sort of the thing. So I make YouTube videos because I enjoy making them, and if you want to do what I do, I became semi-popular. I'm really not that popular. I have about 2,000 fans, maybe, and that's from YouTube. The people at YouTube told me you're not that popular, and so I might have 100,000 subscribers, but most of them never watch my videos. So I don't know why they even subscribe. But like I said, I don't care. If I help 100 people, that's cool with me. How do I remain motivated? I suppose this is a question in regards to how do I make YouTube videos and stuff like that. I think the real reason why I'm motivated to do the things I do is because I enjoy them. That's it. I feel it's sad that most people don't enjoy their lives, and so, but I do. I gave up a lot of things, and I struggled a lot to do what I wanted to do in life. And I know a lot of people do that and they don't succeed, but I was one of those people that was lucky enough to succeed at that. And that's why I'm personally motivated. I enjoy everything I do. So I don't know. I'm just trying to, like I said, this is from the gut. None of this is prepared. I don't script anything. Even my videos aren't scripted. Do I have any tips in increasing traffic on my website? Yeah, you're looking at it. YouTube. From everything I have seen, Google is very, very good at figuring out if you're trying to manipulate them or not, and they will punish you. However, YouTube is quite easy to grab keyword searches and phrases in videos, and that's I really don't believe it's being taken advantage of. And a lot of times people come to me and they say, well, I make YouTube videos and nobody watches them. And then I go and I look at them, and a lot of them are high quality. They're great. They're better than anything I ever did when I first started. But they have 5 videos, or they have 6 videos. If you want to be good or you want to succeed in regards to YouTube videos, make at least 3 a week. I don't care if they're 3 bad videos. You're going to learn more from just putting them out there, and you can always go and delete them. I've never deleted any of my videos, though, even though they're terrible. I have old videos that are horrendous. A lot of the bad parts of it were based off of, well, I'll just make excuses right now. Time limits. You used to only have to have videos that are a certain length and so forth and so on. So, blah. What is my birth date? 12/21/74. What is your political ideology? I don't believe in politics. Just that's the simplest way to talk about it. I think it's terrible. I don't see any good that comes from it. I don't agree with any political party, and I guess I'll get more into that later. What do you think of the Dummies book series? I'm reading your comments, by the way, and just answering them willy-nilly. I think some of them are very good. I think a lot of you guys know I like the Heads First series. I think that they do an excellent job. Some of the Dummies books are excellent. I think those books are better than a lot of the technical books. Like, I might be saying something very bad right now, but a lot of times I see when somebody says, well, how do I learn Java? The first book that comes up over and over again is a book called Thinking in Java. I think it's a horrendous book. I'm sorry. If you like it, then you're great. I'm glad you like it. But it's not fun. And I think programming should be fun. So there you go. I made a Mexican view. I sent you a recipe to make today. Mexican food, it's funny you brought that up. That Mexican food video that I did, we actually just ate that last night, so that was awesome. Do I lift? No, I don't exercise at all. I used to run a lot, but I do not lift. What Android phone do I have? You guys are actually starting to ask a bunch of questions. If you want to know what device I have a Moto X. That is what I have. That is my telephone, and this is a ballistic thing. It's cheap. You may say, why do you have a Moto X? One reason, Republic Wireless. I'm excruciatingly cheap. Let me show you my previous telephone, and just to give you an example of how cheap I am. There it is. It's an iPad. This is what I used as a phone for a long time. And the reason why is whenever the iPad first came out, it had the ability to get a plan through AT&T for $29 a month, and you could get unlimited internet. And I used Skype, and this was my phone for a long time. So yes, I am a weirdo. But now I use Moto X because I can get unlimited telephone and texting, which I don't do, but either way, for $10 a month. So that's why I have a Moto X, and I love it. I use the voice control stuff. I think it is really an awesome telephone for what I do with it. But I'm not a reviewer. I have not had enough phones in my hands to be able to properly say anything. I can just say that that is my favorite phone, or that's what I have. But it's really because of the phone plan. So there you go. You saw. What devices do I have? I have an iPad, which is like 2 generations ago. It's fast enough for what I do, and I have that. And oh, I have this thing, which is just a Bluetooth headset. Sorry, I keep bumping that. How would I promote something with a small budget? It depends. Um, the number one, I used to work for a guy who was insanely awesome in regards to marketing. Basically, what he would do is he would start businesses and he would run them for a year and he would sell them for a ton of money. One thing he used to always say is the most important thing you can invest in for your business is logo, and if you have a store, signage. He said that's more important than anything. People should be able to look at your logo and know exactly what you're selling, and they should be able to be impressed by your signage. Like, that's it. The whole goal is to get them in the door. Once you get them in the door, your store display, your overall everything about you, that's the most important thing. And it's also the cheapest. You can get a logo for very, very inexpensively. So there you go. What's my opinion on Windows OS? I don't care for Windows very much, but you have to understand I'm like an old guy. So I use Macintosh really for what I do with a Macintosh. I use iMovie, and everything else I use pretty much the Linux part of it, the Unix part of it. Yeah, as you say, I don't just use text editors in video tutorials and then use advanced stuff in the regular world. I use text editors in the regular world. I use really cheap stuff. I own like a old version of Dreamweaver, but I never use it. I haven't used Dreamweaver for 10 years at least. I use basic tools. So Windows, I don't play games, so I don't care. I would use a Ubuntu system if I could and have everything just work. But there you go. That's my opinion. I don't hate it. I don't dislike it graphically and so forth and so on. Windows is okay with me. My certificate question will never be answered. I'm going to cycle through every one of your questions and I will answer every one of them. I promised that I would answer every question and I will do so. Um, which is my favorite OS? I'm serious about this. I love iMovie. But if iMovie didn't exist, what would I use? I would use a Linux straight box. That's what I would use. That's what I need in everything I do, and that's what I would do. So Linux is a Ubuntu system I love. What do I think is the best way to get started as a freelance programmer? What I think a lot of you guys that struggle finding work don't understand is almost everything in regards to getting work at all involves sales. You have to get good at sales, and you can get good at sales in a week. You can get insanely good in sales in a month. You have to learn to sell yourself. You have to learn to have the confidence. Like somebody asked me the other day about resumes. I said, call up the place where you want to get a job and say to them, well, in this situation, it made sense. But I said, call them up and say, hey, send me, could you please, be kind and nice and so forth and so on. I don't know what your preferred resume format is. And call them up and say, could you send me a sample of a resume that you received that was exactly what you're looking for? Be like, if you want the tools to get what you want, and very often people just don't ask for help. You want to get a job at a big time company, try to find somebody that already works there, become friends with them, and then try to use them to get you a job in those positions. I don't often think it's something that you just write on a resume and somebody looks at it and they just go, oh, this is the greatest thing, let's hire this person. I'm a big people person, and I believe that if you can in any way get in contact with a person that already has a position that you already want, then that gets you right there. Pardon me, I haven't got a drink. So there you go. What's your take on doomsday theorists who believe collapse of the dollar and gold reaching infinity? I I don't know. That's politics sort of stuff, which I try to just totally ignore. Like anytime I'm flipping on the TV and I see a politician, I immediately shut it off. I just can't stand that nonsense in my opinion. I believe that at any time, because history has shown this to be true to me, every time I say something, it's to me. That if we need somebody great to come about to fix things, they come around eventually. And I think first off, I don't. I think we're living in amazing times right now, and I'm by no means rich. I mean, but I'm happy, and I mean, I to be able to do the things that we do, and I think now is an amazing time. So I'm not a doomsday guy. I'm sorry, but I can see that a lot of people are lost. A lot of people don't have the opportunities, that I had, education wise and so forth. And I think that's really the key. I think that we need to fight to help educate people because I think if you have the right education, I'm not a smart guy. Here, let me tell you a story for people that think I'm smart. Growing up, I grew up on a farm, and I was taught almost nothing when I was a little kid, and they just sent me to kindergarten. And I went to kindergarten. I didn't know my ABCs. I was so backwards in regards to knowing anything. A lot of people I've told, like, I grew up in a cinder block house on a farm. I carried bales of hay when I was a little kid, and water and fed animals, and we lived off the land, and I ate an insane amount of venison, deer meat. That's why I don't eat meat now. It's not. It's just because I was so sickened by it when I was little, because all we ate was that stuff. But either way, so I went to kindergarten. I didn't know my ABCs. I didn't know how to tie my shoes. I was so backwards and so messed up that it took me until the third grade before they took me out of the lowest level of education. I was in the class with the special kids, and I can tell you one day this has become commonly said now, but at the time I don't believe it was. And it wasn't until this great teacher came along, and we had a class, and it was basically the teacher said to everybody in the class, and I was in the special class, and the teacher said, if you could have one wish, what would that wish be? A genie comes out of a bottle, you ask it a wish, da 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 da. And I can't remember what everybody else said, but I said, I would wish for infinite wishes, which I know doesn't sound like anything right now. That teacher looked at me, grabbed me by the arm, took me away, and said, this kid shouldn't be in special needs classes. And in 1 year, I went from being in the absolute bottom to being in the most advanced class. So that was, you know, all education. It's just a matter of, how messed up you can get without proper education. So, yeah. I don't know anything about Bitcoin. I know the basic operations of it, but aside from that, I don't know anything. Let me see here. I'm just cycling through all your questions. How do I keep myself fit? I basically I don't exercise and I try to eat right, but I did a whole long series on dieting. At one point lost a ton of weight, put some of it back on, and I should take it off, but it was like a whole thing with my wife having our second child, and that was it's very hard to be a man on a diet with a pregnant wife. It doesn't work out too well. So put a couple pounds on. I could probably stand to lose another 20 pounds, but I know I could lose the weight if I wanted to. It's just a matter of counting calories. And I don't even need to exercise. So that's what I did. I don't really eat a lot. I'm a fat guy in a semi skinny guy body, getting fatter. I really don't eat. I don't eat meat. I just had a veggie burger for lunch. I mean, I eat very little, and I eat extremely low calorie food. It's just a matter of I just put on weight, and I'm not apologizing for myself, but whatever. What's the next big thing after IT? Oh, geez, you guys are asking me. The last big revelation I had that came true was somebody asked me about what I thought about Google Glasses, and I personally don't see any need in my life for them. But I thought what would be something that would be really cool that also isn't that complicated that needs to be brought to the real world is there's companies that make little mics that go on your throat and allows you basically to whisper and send commands to different devices. And I remember seeing that and thinking, wow, that's really that's something that I bet you we see like immediately. And like a week later, I saw that Google bought the company. So I think that's something that we're going to be seeing. It's cool, but I'm no expert in regards to the future of stuff. I mean, I know that voice command stuff is absolutely amazing. Like the fact that this works is so cool. This can be sitting across the room and I ask it a question and it tells me. Awesome. But there you are. Where do I live? Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. No, I do not make applications that are in the Play Store. I make applications for private individuals. Um, I'm not a big believer in functional programming. I love object oriented programming. Just cycle through these questions. But I'm no expert. I'm like I said, I want to tell you a million times, I'm no expert. I'm just giving you opinions. Um, will I be doing a smartphone giveaway again? I would love to, but I just don't. I don't see any opportunities for it right now. At the time, Samsung was really hot and heavy to do a ton of them, and then when they sort of laid off on me, basically that whole Samsung thing, how it came to be, they offered they offered to compensate me to do those tutorials, and I said that I wasn't interested in that, and it wasn't because of anything other than I didn't want to sign contracts. And then they said, "How about we give you some devices that you can give away to people in exchange for doing 4 tutorials?" I ended up doing 9 or 10, and I said, great, let's do it. And that was it. And I would love to do another giveaway, but I don't know if that'll ever happen. What do I think of the Khan Academy? I think the Khan Academy very, very much told me that doing what I'm doing now was a good idea. And I don't really look at it very much because I don't watch any tutorials from other people because I just don't want to be influenced. But I can guarantee you the Khan Academy is doing a better job than I am. So I think that if I ever do a tutorial and the Khan Academy has that same tutorial, go watch the Khan Academy tutorial because they are infinitely more popular than I am. So, and that's pretty much my view on everything. What's my job? Again, I develop websites, I run shopping carts, make private Android applications for businesses. What is my religion? That's a question that comes up down here as well. And do I believe in God? Um, I'm a big. I see. I don't like answering or talking about things that may potentially offend people. I'll put this out there first off and foremost. Nobody knows. I don't know. Nobody else knows. I like the idea that whenever we are done here, that we don't just get stuck in a box and decompose. I am not a big believer that everything is an accident. I've seen enough things in my life to make me believe that life is not an accident. I believe that there is, again, I'm sort of mincing my words here to not be offensive. I don't, I guess what I could say is the way I was raised. I think that's probably what the reason why we believe everything we believe is how we were raised. At the time, a great influence on my life was a pastor, and that pastor pushed me towards the direction of what Isaac Newton wrote about his beliefs on God, and they made sense to me. So, if you really want to know what I believe a lot of what Newton believed, and I also am a big believer, again, in that I don't believe everything's an accident. I believe that whenever we need somebody to move us forward in life, somebody like an Isaac Newton, like an Einstein, like whoever, that person materializes. They come out of nowhere and they fix us. So that's the basic gist of what I believe. And if you want to read more about, for some reason you care what I think, then read about Isaac Newton and what he thinks. And I pretty much believe that. So, how do I stop letting everything? How to stop letting everything for the last month? Okay, how I organize my time? I did this a long time ago. It works for me. It irritates everyone around you, but it works for me. I decided at one point in my life that I was going to make a schedule and I was going to stick to it. And so if I scheduled from 1 o'clock until 2 o'clock on a certain day, I was going to do something, and immediately as soon as 2 o'clock came, and I had something scheduled for three, I immediately did stopped what I was doing and went to what I did for three, pushed everything off to the next day. And then over time, I got better and better and better at figuring out how to schedule my days. And that is how I was able to get a lot of things done, get things done in a timely manner, and get things done completely. And schedule. But like I said, when you first start doing that, you're going to irritate everybody because there's a lot of people in the world that don't like the idea of being put on a schedule. But that's what I did. Just again, random opinion, something that did really help me though. How many programming languages do you know? I've known, because I've done this forever. I've done this since I was 10. So we're talking about almost 30 years of programming. Um I've known Modula, I've known Lisp. I've done that, all those different languages. My main core, I used to be awesome at assembler. I'm not anymore, but I used to be really really good at it. Um Now I basically use Java, PHP, JavaScript. If I just have a hard time calling JavaScript a language. I'm sorry, it is, but I don't know. PHP, C++, C. I can pretty much do anything with those languages. So I don't really see any reason. Ruby is awesome for a couple things. I love Ruby, but my main thing is to focus in on those things. So I've known every language. The only language I've never actually I've had time with it, but I've never actually really really spent a lot of time with it is ASP. So don't expect me to ever do an ASP tutorial because I just do tutorials on things that I think I know something about. So there's that. My favorite Android book. They are terrible, aren't they? I mean, I can't believe that there are so many bad Android books. I've seen a couple of them that I thought were really going somewhere, and then they completely break. I don't understand that. I really, but I'm saying this about older Android books. In essence, how I learned Android was on the internet. I learned Android 100% off the internet. I learned by studying the API, and I learned by looking what other people on their websites did. Stack Overflow, there you are. I just bounced around and looked at stuff, and that's how I learned it. There is no book. I haven't yet. There was a recipe, Android recipe cookbook. Can't remember who put it out. It was kind of okay because it's sort of, at least it had a lot of nasty code in it, but to a certain extent it got me to know what to search for on the internet to actually complete things and finish things. So I haven't found an absolutely awesome Android book yet. The one I nah, let me one I actually incorporated part of this book into my Android tutorial. It's like for like 3 videos. It's Big Nerd Ranch. There you go. That's a pretty good book. So whoever asked for the Android book, Big Nerd Ranch made a book. I incorporated part of it into my Android tutorial. I try to make my Android tutorials like come out of my head, but on occasion when I'm making tutorials, I will borrow from books. And for anybody that has a problem with that, I want you to find me a professor that works 100% off of their own original thoughts. I would say most of my videos are 60 to 70% my own thoughts, 30% other books. And of course, sometimes they go more and less back and forth. Like my design patterns tutorial, I mean, I literally sat down with a Goff book and incorporated old notes from years ago and sort of tried to make design patterns more understandable. But I studied the Goff book and made sure that I got everything right because I didn't want to give bad information. So that's, sort of what I did. What's my next programming tutorial? The very next thing I'm going to do, and this is again because of what I'm feedback from you guys. The very next thing I'm going to do is finish Inkscape, which is only going to be like 2 or 3 more videos, and I'm going to be done with that. And then I can rely on that as the fact that you guys have a graphical tool that you'll be able to design with, and so forth and so on, no matter what your income range is, because Inkscape's free, and I love to use free stuff. After that, and I mean very soon, in the next week or two, I am going to look at App Inventor. I've been playing with it for a while now, and I think that App Inventor, the MIT thing, I think if you know Android or you don't know Android or whatever, I think by looking at App Inventor, it's going to answer questions that everybody has. And it's going to make you really, really, really understand how an Android app works. And at the same time, for people that are sort of like struggling with Java or maybe gave up on Android altogether, App Inventor allows you to pretty much make really, really nice apps without a ton of coding knowledge. And I think it's something that's worth me spending 2 weeks on or 3 weeks on because I really like it. And I like the idea of getting other people to be able to program into programming that might not be Java experts. How can you start your career in a country that doesn't support any type of technology? Well, if I was sales, I every time in my life things got bad and I needed to make money, I was in sales. And what I did, I found this quite easy, was I found a product that I was very passionate about, that I believed in. I never sold anything for the most part, that I wasn't 100% positive that it was the best thing. And then I went out and sold it better than everybody else or to the best of my ability. And I developed my sales skills, and they have been the most important skills that I have ever got in my life. Yes, I'm pretty good at math. That's why my school pushed me into engineering. Thank you. I'm glad you like my design patterns tutorials. What's your favorite tutorial you ever did? I think the tutorial I'm most proud of, and I haven't watched it. That's the other thing. I record these videos, I edit them, and I almost never watch them, like in their finished state, which is probably really weird, but I never do. But either way, my object-oriented design tutorial I think is my favorite. Yes, I am planning Android game tutorials. Do I like bananas? Not really. Actually, I don't really care for bananas. They're okay. Yes, it's fine to call me bananas. It's impossible to insult me. If some of you guys have read comments and so forth that people have left, I am not bothered by it. How can you start? Are you good at math? Is there a zombie apocalypse? Where would you go? If there was a zombie apocalypse, I would go deep, 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 deep into the woods and get a lot of guns. Because I know I could survive out in the wilderness, because I pretty much did when I was little. I'm reading your comments here. Glad you like the body language videos. The reason why I haven't done videos like that is I pretty much feel like I covered everything in regards to what I believe are verifiable good body language analysis things. And negotiation wise, I think I have covered everything except for one topic that I have a moral issue on talking about. And I've sort of thought about doing it over and over and over again, and I just haven't. And that topic is hypnotic storytelling. So someday, because I see that people in the real world are using hypnotic storytelling to manipulate people right now, someday I might cover that topic. But as of right now, I just haven't. But I think I've covered everything except hypnotic storytelling, so there's books out there. What should I learn to be a web developer? I can do I'd learn WordPress. I know that's another thing that's kind of like sacrilege, and I have a question here about why do you use WordPress? You have to understand, a lot of you guys out there, I think you work for big corporations. I don't. What I mainly do is I work with businesses that aren't particularly doing that well. And the last thing they need is a website that is going to be very expensive. So that means I have to put together a website extremely quickly, inexpensively, and a website that is going to be secure forever. I can do anything with WordPress that I can do with any other website, and I get WordPress security with that. And I add other plugins that are even more secure. I understand the importance of security very well because my website gets attacked hundreds of times, if not thousands of times a day. And I know that I can build a website with WordPress with very specific security plugins and know that that website is going to be almost 100% secure as long as there's not entrance through the server itself. And that's why I use WordPress. So I would say learn CSS if you're just getting into web development. Everybody says they know HTML and CSS, but very few people do, in my opinion. I used to be in a position where I had to interview people, and I didn't see a world in which everyone knew CSS and HTML. So you need to be ironclad with those two, and if you are, you can make just about anything. And then JavaScript, of course, and then PHP, again, inexpensive. That's why I use what I use, and I kick myself for never covering the Zen framework because that is what I use and that's what I have used. But for some dumb reason, when I was doing my PHP tutorial, I thought I shouldn't focus on frameworks, which I think hurt that tutorial. And I don't know why I did that, but I want to do it. Photojournalism, WordPress site from scratch. I have, I think, 84 WordPress tutorials on my website. So go to videos and then web design, I believe, and WordPress how to, and you'll see like 84 videos there. So there's that. How do you create a chat room app? I can't really do that in this tutorial. Yes, OpenGL tutorials are going to come when I start getting into the game development. Yes, this year is going to be all about Android more than anything else. There you go. Will you make tutorials on website security and precautions you need to take? WordPress, plugins, done. I mean, that's it. That's the easiest solution. You can break through anything, but with certain plugins, you can. They literally block out IP addresses. They block out. They layer security upon layers of security, and pretty much then the only thing that's wide open, again, I said, on the server side and through passwords, obviously, administration passwords being poor. But if you have those two things, I would go, if you want secure website, WordPress. That's my opinion. Best way to learn programming. Um, Practice, 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 practice. Get a book that you absolutely love. If you if you get a book and you don't like it, throw it away. It's junk. Get another one. Keep looking. There's so many great programming language books out there. You're going to find one that's good. Look for video tutorial people that you like. If I might not be your cup of tea in all situations, or I might aggravate you, go look at other. There's tons of other programming tutorial guys out there. So just keep looking for the right teacher, I guess is what I should say. I mainly cater to people that kind of already know programming and they like fast tutorials that cover everything in detail but do it fast. That's what I do. Because I do it that way, not because I think it's the absolute perfect way to do it. I do it that way because no one else does that, at least that I know of. As far as I'm concerned, I'm the fastest tutorial guy there is. And I try to find an even range where I'm fast but not too fast. But I'll always be fast. I'm never going to become the slow guy. Um, so there you are. Hardest programming language to learn, the hardest assembler, I guess. But like anything, you can get really good with it. I used to be really, really good at assembler. Just not now. You can stream live on YouTube since when? Since a long time ago. It's just I've never did it until I did my big giveaway, Samsung giveaway. What languages am I an expert on? I feel I can make pretty much anything I need to make in the world using some combination of Java and C++. So I think that I can do those two languages. I think I'm pretty good at. No, I don't use a Sublime text editor. Can I do iPhone tutorials? This is one that I get all the time. Why do you cover Android instead of iOS? Mainly because of what I do. I make applications for small individuals, and you can't do that with iOS. And I think that's going to be ultimately Apple's downfall, or at least just one in a never-ending line of mistakes they've made. I think their hardware is awesome for the iPad, and that's why it's staying there. But yeah, I haven't covered iOS mainly. This I don't think I'm really good at it. Could I do iOS tutorials pretty good? Yeah, I could probably do iOS tutorials. I used to play around with iOS a lot 2 years ago, but I stick with Android mainly because I think I know Android really well, and so that's what I stick with. Choosing product you would enjoy and can make money. I'm just going through your questions here. Tell me something bad about you. Probably, I would say something that I did that would affect a lot of people, and a lot of people would consider it bad, is also one of the things that I was considered to be really, really good at. For a certain period of time in my life, I wrote scripts for telemarketing companies, and they were quite successful scripts. And I don't believe this is true, but I was told that, and I mean, I'm talking big corporations. A lot of big corporations used my telephone scripts. So I apologize for that. But basically, I was told by somebody that I was one of the first people, or he said I was the first, but I don't believe I was the first. The first person to use what is called the yes set to sell on the phone. And he was positive of this, but either way, so yeah, I wrote a bunch of telemarketing scripts that probably were used to sell people things that they didn't need. So I guess that's probably one of the worst things I ever did. So there's something bad about me. Yes, I have used Aid, and I think it's really cool. Haven't decided if I'm going to cover Unity or not. No, you do not need a smartphone to test your application. You can use an emulator. How long do I know? How well do I know C++? I would say I know it pretty well. I feel I could do a pretty good tutorial on C++, at least in my style? Yes. Do you have any suggestions on which sequence we should learn programming language so that the next one we learn becomes easier to learn? I would say, in my opinion, the best first programming language is Python. And I think if you learn Python, that you will be able to pick up just about every other language after that. Mm-hmm. Do you know programming languages fluently, or do you just know the basics? I Java I can write out of my head. C++, I can write out of my head. I occasionally refer to APIs, but not much. But I do, to a certain extent, lean on code completion in Eclipse, which I think you kind of see in my tutorials. I do that. I'm not a big memorizing guy. I like I tell people, don't memorize. But I think that over time you just remember things. So there you go. And that's what I do. I just use things over and over and over and over again. I don't try to memorize them, but after you use them forever, you just remember them. No, I don't use Eclipse for HTML, CSS, JavaScript development. I use basic text editor. I'm cycling through your things here. You're very welcome. This is fun. I wish I could hear you guys or see you or something. If you check out, I just saw the emulator in Eclipse is very slow. Why? If you check out part 26 of my Android development tutorial, you will see how to properly set up the emulator and all of the new tools for Android development. So that shouldn't be a problem. I've already done tutorials on data structures and algorithms. I need to do new ones that cover more advanced topics. But at the time that I was doing that tutorial, I just kept getting this inkling that nobody was enjoying it. Don't know why. That was probably the only tutorial I've ever done in recent memory. I mean, like I said, I used to do terrible tutorials. But in recent memory, that was the only tutorial in which I felt like people didn't like it. So I didn't cut it off, but I basically stopped it at what I considered to be non-advanced algorithms. So, and I do want to get back to that. It's just a matter of when can I do it. How do I say my last name? Banis. But people call me Eric and all kinds of other things, and I don't correct them because I just don't care. You can call me anything. Call me Bananas if you'd like. Um, are you planning HTML5? Yes, I am planning on doing cross-platform app development. Just don't know when. Are you cycling? Don't know what that means. Um, yeah, I don't, I don't plan on covering iOS anytime soon. So sorry about that. I'm gonna focus on Android for now. I don't know what the future will hold, though. Are you planning any? Yes. Cycling through all the different questions that I've missed. How do you start learning programming language? Right. Keep seeing Khan Academy pop up. Yeah, Khan Academy is better than I am. So if anybody thinks I think I'm better than the Khan Academy, I don't. I don't know if that's like Khan Academy rules. Either way, yeah, Khan Academy is quite better than me. Yes, I'm a vegetarian, sorta. I guess I'm a Yes, I'm a vegetarian. I did eat chicken on Christmas, so I guess not. But for the most part, I don't eat meat. I have two kids. One is 1 and one is 4. Cycling through everything. I think I'm getting the most of it. 39. Can I cook? Yes. I think I'm a pretty good cook, actually. Again, I've just been cooking for forever. How do you get better at reading other people's code? That's a tough one. I Some people you just can't. I don't understand why everything isn't documented using UML, but whatever. Yeah, sometimes you're just gonna see code that's just not good. Um, did I ever try LSD? No, I'm not a drug guy. I am actually, I think, because I never actually did it, like outright, I think I am allergic to marijuana. Mainly because just being near a roommate that had it, I got very sick in the stomach just from smelling it. So, yeah, I'm not into that, but I don't really care what other people do. I just, not me. I always kind of feared that I was going to mess up my brain for some reason, but I don't know. Why do you hate meat? I don't hate meat. I just don't like it because when I grew up, I had to eat a lot of venison, like deer meat, like all the time, and I grew just to hate meat in general. Um, so yeah, I don't. That's it. That's the only reason. Just don't like it. Just don't like tasting. I don't like the taste of meat. Don't like the texture of it. I just don't care for it. Nothing. No other reason. Just like a lot of people don't like Brussels sprouts or don't like whatever else they don't like. Yeah, just a personal preference. Like a pork chop, you'd have to like almost torture me to eat a pork chop. I just think they're repulsive. But what kind of headset is that? That was asked forever ago. A person's probably not even here yet. It's a cheapo Plantronics headset. Let me take this off. I don't even know. It is a gigantic Plantronics. I used to use. It says Gamecom across the top. It's a Plantronics headset that was very cheap, and I got it, and it worked. It was because I used to always use. I'm sure one's laying around here. I used to always use Apple headsets. Yeah, I can't find one now. With a little microphone just because they were cheap, and finally they broke, and Apple's new microphone headphones were not as good. They were terrible, and so I got this thing because it was cheap, and I always like Plantronics, and I know it looks horrible and stupid, but yeah, that's what I use. Um, can you make a frequently asked question on a website so questions won't be repeated? I'm trying not to say the same things all the time. I should implement my videos on Khan Academy. I don't think Khan Academy really wants me. I don't think I fit in with their style of teaching. Um, I already did make Java GUI tutorials, but yes, you are correct. I should get more into that. Basics of networking. Don't know. No, I don't like bacon. I've eaten fakin, fake bacon, and I kind of like that. As weird as that is, but regular bacon, I would never eat it. Just don't like it. Seafood, yeah, on occasion. I'll eat seafood. What happens if an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? I don't know. You'll have to get the Juggernaut and the Blob together to find that out. um, what do I think of Brett Victor and Math CS Education? Don't know who Brett Victor is, but chances are, if he's a well-known name out there, he's probably better than I am. I don't watch other people's tutorials just because I don't want to be influenced by them. So that's it. It's not that I'm better or I may actually benefit from watching other people's tutorials, but I just don't want my way to change. I change my tutorials based off of the comments you guys give me. I don't trust anything else. I just that's what I do. I like why don't I make tutorials like the New Boston? I don't make tutorials like the New Boston because the New Boston's New Boston and I'm who I am and the New Boston's better than me, and yes I know that, and yes I know you get a lot more views if you make a bunch of 5-10 minute videos, and he did it the right way. I'm doing it the wrong way, but it's my way, and so I'm just doing it that way. Like I said, I don't do this for views. I don't do it for subscribers. I don't do it for anything. I do what I like. So yeah. Um, how do you recommend people go to college to become a programmer? Yeah, I'm a big believer in being taught by people unlike myself that are trained to teach other people. I'm going through that right now with my kid. Everybody's like, why aren't you homeschooling your kid? And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I think a public school teacher or whoever, anybody, even a bad still teacher that actually received training in regards to how to educate people is probably going to do a better job than I am. And I grew up in the public school system, and I did okay. So yeah, I believe in teachers. I believe in professors. Are there bad teachers? Yes. Are there bad professors? Yes. But I believe there's a lot that I can't bridge gap wise doing video tutorials. So yes, college. Yes, just make sure you go to a good college. What do I think of Facebook? I don't use Facebook. Um, the only reason I don't use Facebook is I don't know. I they started not allowing my YouTube videos to be posted on there, and they started calling them spam or something, and I just got irritated by that. So that's why I got rid of my Facebook page. It still exists, but I think my last comment was I am no longer here. I'm on Google Plus. And I went to Google Plus way before the whole conspiracy where you needed to have a Google Plus account to use YouTube. And no, I don't hold YouTube at fault for that. I think it is quite odd that numerous websites, all at exactly pretty much the same time, created a system in which people that wanted to comment had to have their identities verified. And yes, you can look at that. YouTube did it. Yahoo News did it. Huffington Post did it. I could go on and on and on. At exactly the same time, everybody had to verify their identities. So I don't know. That's one of them weird things. That's why I don't get involved in politics. Yeah, I don't really. I'm not gonna create a tutorial on creating a new programming language. I just don't think that's my skill set. So that's it. I would love to do Raspberry Pi and Arduino tutorials. Like I said earlier in this, I would love to do tutorials on electronics. I haven't been able to fit it in. So favorite music genre, I love fast music, and I love fast music, and I love music that has lyrics that I like. So like I like REM, definitely not fast music. I just like that style, and I think a lot of what I like about music comes from just how I grew up and how I think So yeah, I just think that a lot of times you hear music and you remember that time you were sitting in a parking lot and you were doing something. I don't know. It just that's just the way I equate music. I love the '90s music, but I love the '80s ultra sweet pop music because I grew up with that. But I also greatly respect bands like Creedence Clearwater Revival and The Doors and band Bob Dylan, like back whenever music had meaning, and at least I thought it had meaning. I love that. I'm not big on really any bands right now. I'd say it's just I don't haven't find that nice mix yet. Yeah, I know the New Boston stopped making videos. I was aware of that. I have no idea why. Don't know. Do I like potatoes? Yes, I love potatoes. Um, what do you think of Google Plus comments integration with YouTube? I think there are bad for me on desktop. No problem. Well, kind of no problem. What you guys have to understand is when you send in the past, when you sent me a comment, I got it and I answered it. I answered every single comment I ever received for the most part. I'd say I answered 95% of the comments I ever received in the past incarnation of YouTube with the previous comment system. Now I might be answering 20%. I just can't answer them. I can't, there's no way for me to answer them. And another thing is, like, a lot of people are like, how is it possible you can answer all the comments? I used to do it on my iPad. Mobile. And mobile Google Plus doesn't work for what I want. Like, for example, if I can't really show you this, but if I open up Google Plus on my mobile device to answer your comments and somebody leaves a comment on my video and I click on it to answer that comment, it doesn't show me the comment. It opens the video up on my mobile device and I can't answer your comment. So mobile is broken. It doesn't work. I don't know why, but I think I'm an oddity. Most YouTubers don't answer all the comments, and it's not that I'm like some great guy. It's a matter of I'm not that popular. Like in a day, I used to get like 80 or 100 comments, which sounds like a lot, but a lot of the questions are the same, and I just knew them and I just typed them out. And yeah, so that's what I don't like them, but and we're stuck with them. So there's no real reason to argue. I'm not going to scream about it because I think what YouTube gives away for free is absolutely awesome. So I'm not going to, if they feel that they needed to do that for some reason, I'm not going to fight about it because I just don't really need to, do it. I don't see any benefit in yelling and screaming because I don't think they're going to change their mind. So, what's the point? My favorite black artist. I suppose you mean recording artist. See, I'm not a guy that thinks about that stuff. Um, me and my wife were talking the other day about what this one person looked like just based off of their singing, and we thought that it was a black, female, African American female, and it ends up she wasn't. So, I don't know. I don't know. I think I don't know. I just can't think of anything off the top of my head. I'm sorry. I like really weird music. So, and I really, to be honest, I can't say that there's a female artist out there that I absolutely love, period. Let alone an African American or black female artist. I would, that's my opinion. I don't know. I'm not a music expert. How would you approach learning object oriented JavaScript? Um, Not. I think I'm a big believer in using languages for what they're good at, and I think JavaScript is pretty abysmal at object oriented. It says happy birthday. This is a terrible mess. I'm not a big believer in overcomplicating JavaScript to try to implement anything serious. So yeah, that's just the way I see things. What do you think about voice programming? Not sure what that means. How about some low level C stuff? If I get into that, I will first cover electronics. And by covering electronics, what I want to do is I want to start bare bones. Electrons through a conductor. That's it. I want to be as bare bones as humanly possible. Um, and just go that way. I think my dream tutorial for how to do electronics tutorials would go somewhat along the lines of what you can find with Collins Lab. Look that up on YouTube. I absolutely loved his tutorials. And if I could do electronics tutorials that are anywhere near that good, but I would go even lower level than he did. But I loved his style. That guy was awesome. Do I have children? Yes, I have two children. Yes, I think I've covered Java pretty extensively aside from Java Enterprise. What subjects did I pick at school? I went to school to become an electrical engineer and then later on illustration. Favorite programming fonts? I use Monaco. Can I crack software? To a certain extent, but I don't. What white singer do you like most? I just don't pay any attention to color or ethnicity. I know nothing about it. I'm a mutt. I'm part Russian, part German, part Lithuanian, part a whole bunch of things. So I am like a nothing. I'm just not into that. My favorite YouTube channels. Um Non-tutorial. Well, I don't watch really tutorial videos. What do I watch on YouTube? Um Boy, you stumped me. I watch a ton of YouTube videos. That I watch more YouTube videos than anything else. YouTube's my favorite website, and I think it's absolutely awesome that I can contribute in any way. What certificates should I get? I'll get back to that in a second. I'll think about it. What certificates should I get to find a job? I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not. I'm not in that workforce right now, so I don't know. I would just search, or maybe somebody in the comments who actually recently was hired because of some certification might be able to give some input on that. What's YouTubers that I like? I like a lot of like the British kids that just talk about their life. I used to like the Charlie is so cool. Like I'm just right off that he doesn't do videos anymore. He seems to be out of it, like not wanting to do it anymore. And his buddy Alex Day or whatever his name was. I watch a lot of British guys just talking about random things. I watch, I don't know. I watch random things that I'm interested in more than anything else. Every time I have a question or want to hear about something, I will go to YouTube and I watch tutorials. So if I had to say my favorite, I mean, I'm subscribed to Philip DeFranco, but I don't really watch his stuff unless it just so happens to be there and it looks interesting. I watch, all the guys you guys watch, except I don't watch gaming stuff because I'm just not interested in gaming stuff. Um, so yeah, I watch everything. I watch tons and tons and tons. Could I make Photoshop tutorials? I already made a Photoshop tutorial series, and you know, there it is. Yeah, I could get more into it, and maybe someday I will. Do I know how to hack? No, I'm not. I'm not a hacker. I think I might have been in a little bit a long time ago, especially when I was little. When I was little, I was like a little demon. And I never did anything illegal, but like, well, semi-illegal, but nothing that bad. Nothing that would get me in trouble now. No, the farm shut down that I grew up on. Do I watch PewDiePie? I've seen PewDiePie like I think everyone else has, but it's just not my thing. I'm not. I think what he's been able to do is absolutely amazing to me. But yeah, I'm just not a big PewDiePie fan. I always tell my wife if she tells people, "Oh yeah, my husband makes YouTube videos," and I always tell him I'm PewDiePie because nobody knows what I look like. So, and I kind of figure most people watching these videos live in other countries or watching this video right now don't live anywhere near me, and no one has ever come up to me and said they recognize me from the internet. Hopefully, this video does not change that. No, I don't use Django. I did use it for a good 3 months, and I felt like it was very, very similar to WordPress, except I didn't think the documentation was quite as good. So that's why I didn't change my whole entire world and start using Django instead of WordPress. So there you go. And Google Dart, I haven't used enough to give an opinion. Yes, I cover pretty much anything. I'll do a tutorial on anything. It's just a matter of I have limited time. This isn't. I only have so much time to do videos, and so I try to make complete tutorials, and that kind of limits what I can get into. How did I come up with the name New Think Tank? I showed my wife a list of potential domain names that I could use, and she told me she liked the sound of New Think Tank, and that is why I use it. No, I do not go to conferences ever. Where was I at on September 11th? That's when the buildings got it hit with the planes. I was actually a stockbroker at that point in time, and this is actually a pretty crazy story. I was a stockbroker, and the company I worked for was indeed based in the World Trade Center. And there, if I hadn't fallen down my stairs and broke my foot, there was a chance I could have been picked to be in the training facility in that building at that time. And yes, I did know people that were in that building. So I was sitting at my desk at my house just watching it and just, you know. So that's that. Do I know C sharp? Pretty much. I wouldn't say I'm really particularly great at it, but if I sat down, it was another one of those things that I used like Django for a period of time extensively on a daily basis and was able to accomplish what I needed to accomplish with it. I'm not as good with it as I am with Java though. So, if I dedicated myself to getting good at it, I feel that I could be. Do I think I can rewrite Minecraft? I don't know. I haven't looked at how complicated it is. So, Wikipedia has really good resources. Da, 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 da. I have used Vine and I've also used Instagram. I've never used Instagram videos. What phone do you have? Moto X. No, I'm not being paid to do that. Python is an absolutely fabulous utility programming language. I used to be into physics, but more on Newtonian physics. I never really had any interest in anything else. People keep asking me if I lift. No, I don't. I'm kind of a big guy, frame wise. No, I don't lift weights, and I think this angle sort of looks weird. So yeah. And let's see here. I think I've answered almost every single question you guys are throwing at me here. What's your favorite? Good programming. I'm not a big Luau guy programming wise, but I haven't used it enough. What things you can get money out of? BC software person able to learn. What subject did you pick in college? It was electrical engineering. I only took one programming class in college, and it was what the heck was it? Took one programming language, and I forgot what it was even. It was like part COBOL and part COBOL programming language, and the other part was Fortran. Yeah, it was like let's spend a certain period of time with COBOL and a certain period of time with Fortran. And I found it was kind of silly. I had already known both languages, and I just took it because it was a requirement. Am I getting really stressed and bored from answering all these questions? No, I could talk forever. I'll answer questions as long as you guys want. Do domain names matter? Yes. If you can get a good domain name that matches a search phrase that is used a lot, that has a low amount of competition, yes, get it. I'm the proud owner of bestpriceon.com, by the way, and I have not used it. So, yeah, I'm a big believer in that. Oh, internet meme is the do you lift? Okay, I didn't know about that one. I'm not really big on that stuff. Favorite programming language? I'd have to say Java. My first computer I ever had was a TRS 80. Can't believe this is going on for like an hour and a half. Um, I think I've answered almost everything. Do you think you can? What's your favorite channel on YouTube? Wow. I haven't done not .NET tutorials because I don't really consider myself to be particularly good at .NET. Um, no, I do not have an OOPHP tutorial based off of requests, web services, and all this stuff that I've been getting all of the time. I'm going to go the PHP route with that stuff. I've decided based off of costs because I want people to be able to use it. And let's see, I had a couple more things here. What is the most important thing I ever learned? Well, when I was a stockbroker, yes, I use Pascal. When I was a stockbroker, I used to always make it a point of asking people that were successful, people that were self-made, wealthy, successful people. I always made it a point of asking them why they thought they were successful, and every single person, to the most part, either said to become successful, which basically means you make enough money to do what you want to do in life and so forth and so on, and enjoy your work. They said you either have to do one of two things. You need to find a whole bunch of people that are willing to work for you for less than what money, excuse me. You need to find a group of people that are willing to work for you for less than what they generate for you income wise. So a lot. So you get a whole bunch. That's the whole basis of a lot of almost every business. Get a whole, you get yourself 50 people that are willing to work for $15 an hour, and you can charge $150 an hour for their time. I mean, that's it. And they said, and the second reason they gave for how to be successful in life was to figure out how to do something one time that will continually pay you over and over again. And so those were two things that I learned that were very, very, very important to me. And probably the second thing, because this is also equally important, and this sort of gives a little bit of perspective on my life. For a certain period of my life, I ran a grocery store of sorts in a very bad part of my city, and I mean very bad. And one thing that I learned, it changed the way I saw people and valuing people, was I was on a bad street on a certain time of the night, and it was starting to get dark. And I had a little girl who I later on found out was 8 years old. And she told me that I needed to leave because I used to deliver food to people that were shut ins and such. And she told me, this little girl, that I needed to leave or I was probably going to get shot. And that sort of like really bothered me because I couldn't imagine being 8 years old and that little and being afraid of getting shot. And that sort of changed my perspective on a lot of things in life and why people do things that they do. And so, yeah, I'm not so likely to judge people based off of anything after that. So, how do I deal with negative comments and criticism on YouTube? Actually, a lot of the negative comments and criticism is good. It's helped me change and improve. And if somebody says something really negative, I don't care. I really just don't. It's impossible to insult me. I just don't care. But yeah, a lot of the negative comments that people read actually ended up doing pretty, helping me out. So yeah, I'll know. That's fine. Good books on Java algorithms and data structures. Oh, out of my head, you want this stuff. There was a guy, it's a purple book, Java data structures and algorithms. It's a purple book, and you'll know it when you see it. And I think it's called Java algorithms and data structures. If you search on Amazon and look for the book. That's what I always tell people. You want to find a good book on a certain topic, go on Amazon, search up, look for the book that has the highest ratings. That's my opinion on good books. Can I solve a Rubik's Cube? I have done so in my life. Books versus YouTube videos. I think you should use both. I think you should use as many different ways of aiding your education as humanly possible. So I wouldn't say one is better than the other. I would say use websites, use videos, use books, use professionals if that's at all possible. And that's it. Are you subscribed to the Android Developers channel? No, I am not. How did I get as like I said before? How did I get as many subscribers as I receive? Like I said before, I don't. Most of my subscribers aren't don't watch my videos, so I don't. You can easily see that that is true. I mean, I upload a video and it gets 2,000 views, and I have 100,000 subscribers. So yeah. Favorite non-fiction book? I don't know. I can't think of anything. Favorite non-fiction book? Last thing I read was Ender's Game, but I read that like 100 times. My favorite non-fiction book. Um, I read a book recently on covert persuasion, which is a book that I read previously. So, yeah, I don't know. Nothing's really popping into my head right now. My favorite fictional book I'd probably have to say is Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, which is really weird. I mean, it's totally unoriginal, I guess. So yeah, I'd have to say Lord of the Rings is probably my favorite fiction book. Um, when was the last time I cried? I'm not real big on crying. I'm one of those people that has their emotions all bottled up. And I've had some really nasty things happen recently that if I was going to cry, I would have cried. I probably cried watching a movie or something. Yes, I can be affected to cry when I read a book or when I watch a movie. So I'm sure I watched a movie and it made me cry. Do I prefer to read books or ebooks? I would say books, but that is only because of in the past ebooks were of poor quality, hard to read, hard to look at graphics and read at the same time, and I think that's changing. And over time, I'm starting to read more ebooks. Fiction wise, I definitely would rather read an ebook, and I know that sort of sounds strange. But for nonfiction, like a technical book, I have to flip around a lot. I have not figured out how to do that well with an ebook. So in that situation, I'll buy a regular book, but I always buy used books. I have no idea what the delay is on the live stream. I suppose people can see me. You just yes, I do. I do. I kind of don't like the fact that I haven't been doing more diverse tutorials. Let me be honest with you. Why haven't I done more cooking tutorials? Mainly, I have two kids, and it's a constant mess in my house. And I don't want to pick up the floor and clean absolutely every single thing in the kitchen and put away every single dish and wash every single dish. So that's why I haven't done cooking tutorials in a while. And also, I tried to do cooking tutorials on things that I thought were interesting, and I haven't found those yet. And I also know I have a lot of people that watch my videos that are from India, and I don't want to embarrass myself by making Indian food that looks just absolutely silly that I like. So, and I thought I did like all kinds of Mexican food that I think is absolutely amazing. Like I said, I just ate it last night, and I got a lot of people telling me it wasn't good or I wasn't doing it the proper way. So that's the only reason I haven't done that. Electronics tutorials, like I'd want to do them, but I just haven't done them. So yeah, I wish my channel was more diverse like it used to be, um, but it's not. Yes, I've read books by Agatha Christie. Tolkien is my favorite writer. Yes, I love sci-fi books. I used to read them a lot. What websites do I go to all of the time? I spend an inordinate amount of time on YouTube. Other websites I go to. Let me see if I can look at this. I look at a bunch of really strange websites that are just that have weird things like pop culture sort of things on them. I for business and work and programming, I use Stack Overflow quite a lot. Um, I change a lot. Like I have stuff in my bookmarks are massive. Like I have so many books or so many websites bookmarked that I haven't gone to in forever. So I tend to get really fixated on one or two things and just go there over and over and over again and then never go there ever again. So don't know. That's kind of it. Uh, Bungee jumping tutorial. I've actually bungee jumped. I used to be the guy that if you dared him to do something, he would do it. Yes, I did it, and it wasn't really scary at all. I'd say the scariest part was taking the final step, and after that, it was actually kind of silly. Song of Ice and Fire. Is that the Guitar Hero thing? Yeah, I've done that. I used to really be heavily into Guitar Hero, but not so much now. I love Unix. Um, I'm not a big South Park guy. Are you under 5 foot? No, I'm 6'3". I'm pretty big, pretty big guy. Huh. Can't believe people are still asking me questions. It's amazing. No, Green Mile did not make me cry. What's better, Java or C Sharp? I think they're so super similar to each other. I would, of course, use Java, but just my opinion. Can you have a hangout with me? Google Hangouts is one of those things where I sit down when I want to do I would talk to anybody. Everybody knows I would just talk and talk and talk to just about anybody. I don't. I have no rep on Stack Overflow. I almost never comment there, so I have no rep. So sorry. For some reason, just never answered anything. Now, what was I saying? Oh, Google Hangouts. If you catch me in the right mood, I will do one. But I was kind of daunted by Google Hangouts because the first time I actually opened it up, I had over 1,000 requests, and I felt kind of like a nasty guy for like missing that many requests, and so I kind of like just didn't do it. But I would love to do it. I like talking to you guys. It's so awesome. But yeah, there's Google Hangouts. It's right there. Do I have a Hangouts? Can you please give me a little idea to solve? I don't know what that one means, but yeah, I'd love to do it. It's just a matter of getting into it. So yeah, now my phone's going crazy. What is the greatest computer science? Da, 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 da. No, I don't plan on covering iOS anytime soon. I apologize, but I try to only cover things I know about, and I'm kind of weak on it. And, what tutorials do I have planned? I said I'm going to finish Inkscape, App Inventor, and then I'm going to finish all the other, like Google Maps, and all. I want to make a Paint application using just the regular Google API, like I did with Samsung stuff, and that is what I'm going to be planning on doing. I may try to fit a C++ tutorial in, and in February. I may just say to heck with it and start doing electronics tutorials for fun. I'm not a big fan of Windows 8, but I don't hate it like so many other people do. I just, College, Penn State. Yes, I am planning on releasing personal applications. I have this grand idea no one's ever done before, as far as I know. I want to start making tutorials and making Android apps at the same time that help ask questions and reinforce all of the information that was covered in the application or in the video tutorial. So yes, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do that this year, and I've been working on it right now. So sometime this year, I'm going to start making Android applications that work in accordance with the video tutorials. so that I'll be able to teach in multiple different ways. And yes, all of those Android applications will be free. Everything I do is free, and they will be free as well. I'll never sell anything, so you don't need to worry about that. And I think I've answered. Watch Servant King. Have you tried Corona? Yes, in the past. I've tried just about everything, but I just haven't been using it. Song of Fire and Ice. Sorry about that. Yeah, Game of Thrones. I started reading it and it just didn't quite get me in the beginning. And then life took hold and babies, and I just never read it. So I'm one of the lucky guys that has never read Game of Thrones, and I plan on doing that. Vacation, some point, I will probably do that, and that'll be an awesome. Yes, my idea of a perfect vacation is going somewhere warm and reading a book. As crazy as that is. Hmm. Wow. I think I've pretty much answered everything that wasn't a silly comment. What kind of car do I drive? I drive a Toyota Corolla that is 14 years old. Remember, I am very cheap. I will not buy a car until that thing falls apart. So, yes. Oh, the Android book that yes, Big Nerd Ranch. That's the only Android book I have ever seen that I thought was awesome, or at least good. Somebody just asked about that again. I work for myself. I make websites, run shopping carts, make Android apps. I do not work for anyone else, and I basically try to help businesses that are struggling do well. What is my wife's name? My wife's first name is Joy. How did I get into being self-employed? I was in a really bad accident, and my wife kind of forced me to do it as well. I just decided that I could no longer work for anybody else, and so I jumped whole hog into creating websites. And for a certain period of time, I actually did what I do on the internet in the real world. I did extremely cheap person to person tutorials with people, mainly that revolved around teaching people job skills to get them a job. And that failed miserably. So, and by reasonable priced, I was charging $35 for like a 4 or 5 hour session. So that just failed. Sometimes you just have an idea that you think's awesome and it just don't pan out. So who knows? Thank you. I'm glad you like the jQuery tutorials. Favorite vacation spot? I will tell you, me and my wife almost always end up at a place called Geneva on the Lake, which is at Lake Erie. So yeah, that's some place every single year we go. We always end up there, even when we don't plan on going there. Sorry about the lighting. I did improve my webcam to a certain extent. I wish there was a way to show you. It's a C910. I don't know. But I did improve my webcam a little bit, but it's not wonderful. And I spent like I said, what can I do for $60? And I got this webcam, and I got this weird thing to sort of block out the clutter. And I dug out an old lamp out of my basement. So this is what you get for $60. Android apps. How do I make money with them? I solve individual problems. Like I made an Android application that allowed a guy to monitor his. This is just one of them. That's just one that I can talk about. I made a Android application so that a guy could monitor cameras in multiple locations and storage areas and distribution facilities from his phone. So yeah, that was something I did. Is it easy to find internships? Um, how I got hired by Apple was I won a science project, a science fair, and that's how I got hired. I made something that right now might not sound like much anything, but back then I guess it was. It was I took a Nintendo Power Glove and I made a head. Sorry about that if that hurt your ears. And I made a head-mounted display and I made a VR thing, and it allowed you to play Doom and Wolfenstein and a whole bunch of first person shooters in this VR setup, and everything was controlled with your hand. And it was, I guess, cool enough that I was at a place with a company. I don't even know if SGI is still in business, but SGI had these like massive mainframes, and they were doing all these things that were supposedly really, really cool. And I totally took over this convention. I had a line that went from one end of the building to the other because everybody wanted to play these first person shooters with this goggle, with these goggles and this glove. I had two gloves, two Nintendo Power Gloves. It was like a VR thing. It was pretty cool. Nowadays it's nothing, but back then I guess it was cool enough that Apple gave me an opportunity to go work there. But I was a grunt programmer at Apple, and so I wrote device drivers and QuickTime. I worked on QuickTime, so that was a long time ago. So yeah, I know that if you go to coding competitions and you do a good job, that you will get hired by a company. And that is my number one tip if you want to get a job as a programmer for a big company, is to compete in coding competitions, because I have heard a never-ending number of people that have done that and have succeeded and got a job immediately. So coding competitions, that's how you get a programming job. Are you a gamer? Not really. I play iPad applications. Here, you want to see what I play? 3752. Let's see here. Here. Well, a lot of this is because of my daughter, but there's what I play. Angry Birds, say, Clash of Clans, Pandemic, say. What else do I do? Oh, I play Magic, Carcassonne, and I just got that. And that's what I play. And then my Android thing, my Android games. There's some games on here that I just got just for the heck of it. There you go. So there's not much. There's Terraria and oh, come on, focus, you doggone camera. Terraria, and there you go. Minecraft, Kingdom Rush, which I already beat forever ago, but for some reason I downloaded it again. Terraria, Words with Friends, which I play with my wife, and Dots, which I just downloaded last night for no apparent reason, and will probably soon delete it. And I play Don't Starve. I used to play Don't Starve. I love Don't Starve, but I just don't have time to play it. And I used to love doing Minecraft mods, but I don't have time to do that either. I don't know about putting ads in Android applications because I just don't do that. I don't know which is better. Da, 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 da. I don't make applications for people that I don't know in the real world. A lot of people think I do this, like YouTube videos, to make money or to find work. No, I have never once have I ever been offered a job through YouTube videos and took it. So I just don't do that. I have enough stuff to do, and I like to look people in the eyes when I do business with them, and that's that. So, what job does my wife do? She's an industrial designer, and I used to smoke a long time ago, but I don't anymore. The thing around my neck, thank God. Just to show you, this will kind of tell you about the type of person I am. I, at one point in my life, would do anything an employer asked me to do. And one employer that I was working on a radio station, and that employer told me that I could improve my voice if I smoked cigarettes, and I did it. And it was terrible. It was a bad mistake, but I don't do it anymore. Thank God for that. And I haven't for a long time, so that's a blessing. What's my average development wage? When I charge people things, it's all depends upon the project. So I don't know of any online coding competition websites. It's better to do them in person if you really want to get a job. Is that good or bad? I don't know. Oh, and I'm very happy that you enjoy my way of teaching. That's very cool. What tips would I give a kid that likes programming and wants to work in IT? Just make stuff that you really think is cool. If you like games, make games. If you like anything, just make programs. Write programs. That's it. If you like programming, program. That's It's quite simple. If you like electronics, make electronic stuff. I saw an electronics kit the other day. I was like, oh, I have to get this, but I just didn't. But I'm just constantly entertained by all that stuff. Okay, guys. Well, I think, will computer programmers still be in demand in 20 to 30 years? Don't have any idea. I know that a computer can't do as good of a job as a lot of these other things. Are iPhones dying? The numbers say they are, at least worldwide. More and more people are using Android devices. How much money can a programmer make a month? A couple $1 million. I mean, I'm not a big money guy. I've never done, well, I have done things in my life to because of money, but I always regretted that. So yeah, now and for a very long time, I haven't done anything in regards to money. And I think that's it, guys. I think I've answered almost every single question that I have received. I guess this is my penance for making up for the fact that I haven't been able to answer every single comment I've been receiving lately. If you want me to receive your comment and answer it, it's leave it on my website or on Google Plus, and I will get it. Anything else, I cannot. Even if you have a Google Plus account, I can't guarantee I'm gonna get it. So sorry about that, but like it's out of my control. And I think that's pretty much it. How do you pronounce your last name? Last name's Banis. My wife's first name is Joy, but her last name is not Banis. All right, guys. Well, I think everybody's pretty much answering or asking me questions that I already knew. Thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed this. I can't believe I talked for an hour and 46 minutes, if that's at all possible. But either way, it's been really, really cool. And till next time.